Tall, dark, and handsome. That only begins to describe Cary Grant. Add charming, debonair, and stylish to that list, and you still come up short. In 72 films spanning 4 decades, the British-born actor came to epitomize style and sophistication on the big screen. He was the man every woman wanted, and every man wanted to be.
Would you like to go over to my room? Got some letters from home, pictures of my father and mother.
His father and mother were working-class Brits who named their little son Archibald Alexander Leach. At the age of 14, Archie Leach quit school to join a troupe of comedic acrobats. He couldn't believe his good fortune when a booking brought them to America in July of 1920. The troupe returned to England, but Archie stayed on in the New World, determined to find whatever acting jobs he could.
There isn't a movie fan alive who doesn't yearn to visit Hollywood.
In 1932, Archie Leach decided to gamble and try his luck in Hollywood. He was quickly put under contract by Paramount Pictures, who loved him but hated his name. So he took Cary from a character he'd recently played on stage and Grant from a list the studio provided, and effortlessly became Cary Grant.
Whistling in the dark. Well, that isn't going to help you this time. You're through.
Listen, the last man who said that to me was Archie Leach, just a week before he cut his throat.
Is that so?
Cary Grant's first taste of success came opposite Mae West, but he was unhappy with the roles he was being offered at Paramount. So after 24 films, he decided to go independent, making deals with RKO and Columbia Pictures. The time was right for Cary Grant. Screwball comedies were proving the rage with depression-weary audiences, and Cary was made to order with his good looks, impressive comedic skills, and distinctive accent. And no one ever looked better in a tuxedo. In The Awful Truth, under the direction of Leo McCarey, he was to find key elements of the Grant style. The dash, the class, the wit.
Give this to the orchestra leader and tell him to play the same number again for an encore.
In 1939, after a succession of comedies and even a few dramas, he made His Girl Friday, his third film for director Howard Hawks. Variety said it was the most difficult role he'd had and called him brilliant.
Tell him if he'll reprieve Earl Williams, we'll support him for senator.
What?
Tell him the Morning Post will be behind him, hook, line, and sinker.
But you can't do that.
Why not?
Because we've been a Democratic paper for over 20 years.
All right, after we get the reprieve, we'll be Democratic again.
Grant developed a reputation as a perfectionist, always looking to add dimension to a role and freshness to a scene. His experience in vaudeville made him fast on his feet.
I still claim I was tight the night I proposed to you. If you'd have been a gentleman, you've forgotten all about it, but not you. You're losing your eye. You used to be able to pitch better than that.
To generations of moviegoers, Grant was the ideal leading man whose love for his work comes through in every performance. He was sought by the best directors in Hollywood and worked with his favorites many times. Off camera, Cary wasn't keen on signing autographs and disliked talking about himself. When a publisher offered $5 million for his autobiography, he turned the deal down flat.
May I say what a pleasure it is to meet you in person?
Only if you must.
Walk, Don't Run was his 72nd movie and the first one in which he didn't get the girl. It would be his last film. True to form, Cary Grant left the screen as gracefully as he'd done everything else in his life.
It's the biggest night of the year in Hollywood as Oscar steps into the spotlight.
Cary Grant makes the award for Outstanding Actor, accepted by Gene Simmons for Alec Guinness.
Surprisingly, the Oscar eluded Cary Grant. Despite his enormous popularity, he received 2 Best Actor nominations, both in the 1940s, for Penny Serenade and None But the Lonely Heart. On April 7, 1970, the Motion Picture Academy presented Grant with an honorary Oscar. He was visibly moved.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful.
He died in 1986. Toward the end of his life, he was fond of quoting the old saying, "Dying is easy, comedy is hard." But the supreme magic of Cary Grant was that he made everything look easy.
Oh, good night. Good night, all.